The future of Diablo 4. I honestly don't even think there is a future at this point. I think Season 4 is gonna be the last season. Diablo 4 is even gonna be remotely relevant to the broader community.
There was an interview done with Diablo 4's producer, Rod Ferguson, talking about
Fire him. Absolute loser, should not be ever let in charge of anything gaming related.
the future of the game, as well as public test realms and microtransactions within the game. So let's go ahead and break down that interview. So the first question was about Season 2. Why was Season of the Blood effectively the most well-received by the players? And the answer to this one was, well, it's a combination of things. The first thing he says is that Malignant Hearts, basically the Season 1 mechanic, wasn't as approachable as the Season 2 mechanic. So the average player would be able to get the vampire powers and understand the vampire powers, which were the Season mechanic, much earlier than in Season 1. This would make sense.
That is stupid. This is completely not what happened. So, they have a semi-successful season, Season 2, that made people think maybe there's a chance, and they have no idea why it even was good. So, their idea of why Season 2 is good is because Malignant Hearts were harder to get right or understand for people? Are you kidding me? Are you complete morons?
Earlier than in Season 1. This would make sense because the vampire powers you just had to click to unlock, whereas the Malignant Hearts you had to like RNG your way into the drop, put it into the item, etc. So that one I can understand. Now the second point here I think is a larger point too, which is that the Season 2 with the Blood Harvest helped them understand what to do with the Hell Tides. So the Hell Tides are kind of a boring farm in the beginning when the game came out, but the Blood Harvest was actually well received. And he continues on to sort of explain that you can slay a multitude of monsters and the feeling of power, that we worked hard to optimize the engine, optimize the art to be.
Are you kidding me? So they only then understood that slaying monsters in a game that's literally designed around slaying monsters and getting loot is a good thing. This must be a joke. This sounds like a joke. You cannot be this incompetent. You cannot be this absolutely blatantly incompetent.
Be able to turn that dial up when it comes to basically the density of the monsters. So in the beginning of Diablo 4, there was a mob density complaint. People were saying there's not enough monsters on the map, and the Blood Harvest was...
Yeah. And you remember what Blizzard did. People found dungeons that actually had decent mob density and decent XP. You know what Blizzard did? Literally in hours of people starting to talk about this crazy new place that has a bunch of monsters that you can kill and it's fun, they nerfed it. What the fuck? How do you do these things? How do you make these decisions? It's such a joke. Imagine you not understanding that more monsters equals good in general. That is crazy.
It was one of the first times that we actually got to feel like we're chewing through a whole bunch of monsters, and that is what he's referencing here, that the Blood Harvest was a success in terms of what they should take from that and put into the Helltide. They should take the monster density, and they should take the mechanics of like summoning the councils and the legions and stuff like that. Now you might wonder to yourself, well, why did it take them this long to figure out that people want to kill more monsters? This is
because they are morons, without exception. Without any defense, they're just morons. That's why.
Been a feedback point since the beginning of Diablo 4. Mob density is not a new conversation in ARPGs. Surely they would know more monsters, people will be more happy about that. And that's what he gets into next here. So this first bit is basically him just saying that in Season 4, you're going to notice there's a significant amount of increased mob density and that they're trying to increase the pace, basically, of the game because that's the feedback that the players have said they've been wanting is more mobs. But he goes into describing basically why it's not already been accomplished. He says it's not easily done because every extra monster you're putting on screen is something that's eating at the performance and in the memory and those sorts of things. So we
that I don't care. And also, this is a blatant lie. This is an absolute blatant lie. Because even before Season 4, we had these situations where there's a lot of monsters in some places. This was especially true, by the way, at the start of the game when you ran around the shoreline of the very northern part. and the desert shoreline. Bro, you had some encounters where there were literally like 60 monsters on the screen at a single time, and there was no problems at all. So this is a blatant lie. This is not a performance thing. And what do you mean it's a performance thing? They have always existed, even in dungeons, places where there's a bunch of monsters, a lot of them in one spot, and it wasn't a problem. But now suddenly it is a problem, while it's not a problem elsewhere? Make it make sense. This is a lie. This is a blatant lie.
We have to come to a system and go, okay, we want to increase the density by 10%. Then we have to go and optimize the engine, optimize the art to get there, and try to find smart ways.
I'm very sure you don't have to optimize the engine or optimize the art to get there. Is this the thing that you need to do? And also, if you need to do this, then do it. Don't complain about it, do it. There's no way that this takes a multi-billion-dollar company like Blizzard a year and more to actually get right. That's not a real thing. This is cope.
To do that. So what you're seeing through the seasons, you've seen the density get more and more and more, and I think it's coming to a good place in Season 4 when you see how rich the Hell Tides are. Now, performance being an issue in relation to ARPGs is not something that's new. In fact, in Path of Exile, when I play it, if I'm playing Blight or something and there's a million mobs on the screen, the resolution gets dynamically scaled or becomes really laggy if I do not dynamically scale the resolution. And so this has definitely been an issue on multiple games, but it's not the first time.
We're talking about Path of Exile, though, here. And as he said, millions of mobs. Path of Exile seriously can have a lot of mobs at the same time. Diablo 4 doesn't even come close to that. It doesn't even come to 1/4 of that. And yet they're having troubles with their engines? This is not an excuse for a multi-billion-dollar company. This is not even an excuse for a small company.
Diablo 4 has run into tech issues. For instance, we have the stash loading problem where it took forever for us to get extra stash storage because we're literally all loading each other's stash tabs.
Yeah, again, one more problem that is, one, how the hell did you even get to this point in life, you bunch of morons? Two, I don't care. It's your problem, fix it. I'm a consumer. I play game and say game good or bad. I don't care about your problems as a developer.
And what we found out of that is the players basically don't care what the reason is that something hasn't been accomplished. They only want the thing to become accomplished, which makes perfect sense to me. Players don't get paid to develop the game, so if the game gets in a state that people enjoy it, then the players will be.
Hey, I have been saying this for years at this point, literal years. You're a consumer. And your job is to consume and say good, bad. And if you say good and someone is stupid enough to say, but you didn't say why it's bad, make constructive criticism. Diablo 4 is way past the point of constructive criticism ever mattering again. That's one. Two, again, consumer, not developer. I just say good or bad. I don't need to give you explanations why bad is bad. Figure it out, losers. Figure it out. Do your job.
Be positive about it. If this game is in a state in which people don't enjoy it, they won't be positive about it. So when the Season 4 comes out, I mean, we saw from the PTR, people were already liking the Hell Tides. I myself like the Hell Tides, even though I have basically massively disliked the Hell Tides the entire time. It's factually an improvement. So because of that, I think when Season 4...
Dude, there's still so much to improve. Legion events are absolute trash. The waiting, they're just so boring. The waiting part is insane. Waiting for world bosses. How about you have the ability to make a party of 4 people and then trigger the world boss event like 10 minutes faster if you're all 4 there already, so you don't have to wait or something, you know? How about those? How about an option like that? That would be great. There's so many things that this game needs better. Basic skills, passives, itemization is completely dead in the water now. I mean, it's just completely over.
Comes out, if the mob density stays pretty crazy, people will be grinding it like it's Blood Harvest. It's effectively the fastest way to level now in the game, and the Hell Tides might have done a flip from really annoying to farm to actually enjoyable because of the...
Yes, and this is another problem with Blizzard. They introduce Uber Duriel. Now you need to farm items. Living steel is annoying to farm. aka it's in the extreme of too hard to farm. Now they make living steel completely useless to farm because it's the easiest to farm. And now with the upgraded hell tides, living steel is probably gonna be even 10 times more easier. Thus, it's no longer even a material, and it's pointless to farm because you're not farming it. You have an infinity amount of it. Blizzard, with every update they introduce, they destroy a previous mechanic of the game. It is crazy. What's the point of the Tree of Whispers if the Helltide is just gonna be the most superior place to level and do everything now, and it's doable from level 5? What's the point of anything now if just one thing just stands so much above everything else? It's crazy. It's dumb.
Density and the added events we will see. So the next thing in the interview was asking him about what the season theme is going to be. And he says the theme was not tested within the PTR. He doesn't know the exact date yet, but we will find out what the theme will be in the next couple of weeks. Now, we have covered this on the previous video, but there was
Yo, we only have 3 weeks left until the next season, by the way.
Basically a data mine, and WoW had covered this. You can check them out too, in which they end up describing a Iron Wolves type of theme from the data mine.
Yeah, and Iron Wolves are completely boring, and no one gives a shit about them. Let that sink in.
There's items and reputation system and all of these things in relation to...
Well, to be fair, it's not about the concept, it's how you implement it. And every season has been implemented thus far kind of poorly, you know, with the rewards not mattering and stuff like that. You know, Season 3 was a goddamn pet. It's just completely boring. You know, stuff like that.
What we saw with the upcoming theme. And then Pez Radar says this: I think most people have seen some of the things that are going to go out regarding in the season in PTR. We'll be adding some light to those items in the upcoming stream, and a majority of the work has been built around the theme of this new season. That's a Loot Reborn, as this is a greatly changing the game going forward, both Eterno and Seasonal, and as the start of a new D4 experience as we head into the Vessel of Hatred. So I think most people have seen some of the things that are out. Could be referring to the data mine, so people are kind of assuming that the Iron Wolves is correct. And there was a significant amount of Iron Wolves related data mined items, so I don't know why there would be a whole...
I assumed it was correct. Then again, what does it really matter? Whatever season that we're getting, whatever style or whatever team it has, it's probably going to be questionably boring.
Flood of those suddenly coming into the game if it wasn't an Iron Wolves reputation system, or at least items and quests around it. So that's probably what it is. Now, Season 4 comes out May 14th for the people that are wondering. So the next question was basically about the PTR. Can we expect a PTR for more or less every seasonal update? He says it's a good question, but it's a to be determined. Now, basically the breakdown of this whole paragraph is, if it's a major thing, like the itemization changes, if they're adding new crafting systems, if there's new major updates to the game. In those scenarios, then what they're actually going to be doing is doing these PTR updates. However, otherwise, with minor updates, etc., we should not be expecting a PTR for every little thing. More or less a non-answer, but not a we won't.
That's actually probably the only thing I agree about. You shouldn't expect a PTR for everything.
See any more of these? We'll probably see some of these, but for now, we'll just have to see. He also mentions that he doesn't like it's only PC right now, but it's still a technical issue for them to solve. He does say something interesting. He says, one of the ways we've been trying to grow Diablo is to make sure that we really lean into console play as well as PC. You can definitely see elements of the game are designed for console players. But he goes on to say that they're having problems basically with the console ecosystem, that their certification process just makes the public test realm and all of the testing even harder than it needs to be. So this next question is actually an interesting one, because something they have said about microtransactions in the game is that basically the best looking stuff is stuff that you have to earn in the game. But as the game goes on, the better and better looking stuff is either attached to their battle pass or a straight up purchase. So this is more or less what his question is about, is it seems to be going the other way, where now the most attractive look.
Well, Diablo 4 is a failure, and it doesn't matter in what ways it fails. What matters at the end of the day is just the money it makes. So you can be damn sure that people are not spending a lot of money on this completely gutter trash battle pass, because it offers nothing that people honestly want or like even. And I have played this game a pretty extensive period of time now. And I don't see people running around with these 100% dollar mounts. Have I seen them? Yes. But it's, I think, less than 2 or 3 in my all my time playing. So, again, people don't buy this garbage. They don't buy typically these microtransaction craps. And that's a bad thing, because you can bet Todd Ferguson, the king of idiots, is not really happy about that.
Items in the game are straight from purchases. So he says he wanted the clear answer in this. Shop items that can be earned or easier to purchase. So what's the deal with presenting a dilemma to players who just want to earn the cool stuff? Gonna be honest, I don't like his answer on this one. So we're gonna read this one through because it's interesting. What we're trying to do with like how they interpret the teasing from Campfires is a little bit of both. If you were to look easier to acquire, at least from a purchase perspective, like we just released these class bundles where you could get 2 different looks for much cheaper price. So we did 1 for each class, perhaps less than half of what our top armor stuff normally goes for. So we wanted to find places for people to use the shop at a lower price point. So he's talking about price points here. He's like, well, we're making it cheaper, but it's not really answering the question. So if you continue, he says, we're also doing some stuff, this idea of personalized discounts, which is the other part, which we're kind of excited about. Other games have done this to where they look and say, based on your play, here's something that might be relative to you in terms of discounting. So basically, they're going to take the information they know.
What the fuck is this garbage? Oh, based on your play, he'd have some dog treats? What is this?
About you as a player and offer you things to purchase based upon what you seem to be doing in game. This still isn't kind of answering the question of what if you want the game's best looking things to be only based upon gameplay. And so he says, and so look, he goes, and so like, here's 4 different levels of discounts on 4 different types of things. And again, it goes back to the notion of trying to find ways to make it also more approachable or easier for people to get into a lower price point if they're interested. But it's all cosmetic. They don't need to get it. They don't. It's all about how they want to look. Again, Diablo being the ultimate power fantasy, and kind of like, how do you want to play? How do you want to look? So there's no power in any of that. It's all about...
Okay, so he essentially completely dodges the question, and effectively he just says, oh, don't worry, if you're poor, here's a $5 option that looks worse, you fucking piece of trash. Go get a job. That's half of what he effectively says here. And he's completely dodging the fact that, yeah, you're supposed to be able to earn the best looking stuff through playing the game, but you flat out obviously can't. Because, well, if you can earn things by playing the game, why would you spend money in the game? And again, you need to spend money in the game because that's what they want.
Your vanity in playing with your power fantasy. So I don't like this answer personally, because his point of Diablo being the ultimate power fantasy and kind of that, how do you want to play, how do you want to look, is true. But if the how do you want to look is 50% of that he's saying here, and it's locked behind a paywall, then they don't need to get it. They don't means that you're only expecting people to care about this portion, the how do you want to play. So I don't really understand his answer here, if I'm being quite honest, because the how do you want to look, he's right. It is part of the power fantasy. So then why are you saying you don't need to buy it? They don't. Well, if you want to look that way, then you do actually.
Diablo's color palette also is so shitty that, I mean, I have literally never once even thought about how my character looks too much. I just have a random transmog put on because once I clicked on it by accident, and that's it. I literally have never cared about that too much.
Actually need to buy it, and people aren't saying that they want a discount for it. They're saying that you want to earn that stuff in game. Again, I'll bring up the concept of you had gauntlets that could have given out rewarded cosmetics, or the gauntlets maybe could have given out rewarded premium currency if you really want to do it that way, but it didn't. That was a design decision to purposefully not reward paid cosmetics for basically the best players in the game. Even mobile games, you can look at Clash of Clans, even mobile games will give out premium currency for being good at the game, for instance. This isn't something that happens in Diablo. So if you do want to look the way you want to look, and the way you want to look is the stuff you have in the shop, then you have to buy it. So I'm not necessarily a fan of this answer in particular. And it gets a little bit worse with the answer, in my opinion. So he says, I think we're talking about the notion of making cool stuff that people can earn. That's an ongoing conversation. At the beginning of Diablo 4, we were very focused on that kind of staying authentic and staying grounded. Okay, that's good. As with each season, we're
Staying authentic and staying grounded to what exactly, though?
kind of getting more comfortable with, okay, our launch is over and we've had our authentic moment. Now we can start to turn the dial to be a little bit more fantastic. This basically just means, okay, we decided not to have a ridiculous amount of paid cosmetics, but now we can turn the dial up on that. Like, this doesn't really.
Oh, no. Yeah, okay, now I get it. But no, he means something slightly different. Close, but slightly different. So, what he means by authentic, and what was the other word that, authentic and grounded, he means the style of items in the game. And now that the launch has passed, now it's time to add items that are previously you were a gray herring, and now you're a fucking peacock. That's essentially what he's saying here. From something that looks plain and boring, now you have essentially wings and stuff. That's what he means by this. Okay.
Really read well as a player, in my opinion. So I think you're starting to see that in some of the shop exploration we're doing, like Lord Eater. There's some interesting skins there. Now, I've said before, cosmetics don't buy.
Yeah. So this is the switch, okay? Again, as I said, you can't have the best stuff for free that no one's gonna buy. No one's gonna buy the microtransaction shit. And this is exactly what they are doing now. They're adding extremely pompous, stand out, completely different looking microtransaction sets, because that's how it is.
Bother me unless they're, and I'm cool with them selling cosmetics. I think it's fine to sell cosmetics in the shop. The only time
I am absolutely not cool with them selling cosmetics like this, because they're not gonna be even closely fair about it, okay? They're not gonna give you an ability to actually earn cool stuff by just playing the game. That's one. And two, the cosmetic stuff that you can only buy is gonna be 50 times better looking than anything you can get in game. So effectively, it's gonna come to the point where unless you want to be fucking ugly, you're gonna have to dish out money to buy microtransaction cosmetic set. That's what's gonna happen. This is the same. This is effectively the exact same thing with the with World of Warcraft store mounts. The new in-game mounts, when they get put in, are okay-ish. Some of them are kind of cool and whatnot, but the store mounts are completely unique snowflakes, okay? They have a different bone structure. They have a completely different color palette. They have a completely different special animation. They are literally the best and the most unique things in the game. You cannot farm anything even remotely close to that in the game. And that's what they're going to do with Diablo 4.
When I don't like cosmetics being sold in these games is when the cosmetics look objectively better than any of the gear really you get in game. And basically what he's saying is before they were staying authentic to the shop stuff will look worse, but now the shop stuff is starting to look better, more fantastic, I guess is the way he's describing that. So he says, I think that's the type of stuff you also see become part of the earnable stuff, as well as we look at our seasonal journey and how to improve the season journey, how we look to include new types of cosmetics, the way you saw in Diablo 3. So there will be some interesting stuff on the horizon I think you'll be excited about. We're always trying to find the right balance in terms of what is earnable. We want to be cool things for people that can earn, which I think you can. My brother doesn't spend a dime and he looks cool when he's playing with me, and I try to basically buy everything. You can still earn really cool.
I don't even believe the idea that he has a brother, let alone his brother is stupid enough to play Diablo 4 and thrice stupid enough to play him with Todd Ferguson.
Things. In my opinion, sort of missing the point that if all of the cosmetic improvements are being focused on the shop, I mean, how many really in-game earnable cosmetics have we had outside of the bonus seasonal stuff that has shown up?
None. I'm pretty sure actually none, yeah. And all of the basic stuff looks trash.
Right, with the Midwinter Blight. We haven't really had a lot of massive improvements in terms of what you can look like in an earnable aspect. Most of these are tied to the shop. So anyway, he's kind of missing that point a little bit here. However, he does point out one point that I think would be a good W in terms of this conversation, where he says they were looking at the season journey and how they can improve the season journey. Now, if they add on the season journey, just the free, the free season journey that we can all do, right? If they add in there ways to like store up and save premium currency so you could buy stuff out of the shop, or if they add like, let's say the previous season skin.
Blizzard will find a way to destroy this if people save up too much. It's gonna be the same thing in Magic the Gathering with the Outlaws of Thunder Junction when it came out. They added the most ridiculously some of the most overpowered cards in super ultra mythic rare slots that you get like 3 of them per opening 100 packs. And well, yeah, good luck. All your saved shit is now gone out the window because people saved too much. And Blizzard's gonna do the exact same thing. It's not gonna be Blizzard's never gonna allow a situation where people are saving things and buying the things that they want and thus avoiding actual paying real life money for the microtransactions. A situation like that will never be done in any game. There are games that are relatively fair with it, but still in those games, okay, games that are relatively fair with it, that allow you to just earn currencies to unlock the new battle passes and whatnot, those games, yeah, they allow you to do it, and there's actual value in that. But those games also typically have a really amazing battle pass that you want to spend money in because there's so much cool stuff and value and whatnot that you want to spend money.
Skins in there or something. So maybe if you want to buy, you're just buying the cosmetic a little early, but if you wait for the next season and farm the next season journey, then you could get it. Well, in that case, it's significantly improved in my opinion. So if he does go down the rabbit hole that he's saying here about looking at the season journey and how to make it more earnable, then that would be a decent solution. So then he kind of makes a joke and talks about unicorns. Like the interviewer here was campaigning for more unicorns. And he says, well, there is one. There's a unicorn mount. It was really funny because we were joking with our art director because in the original interviews when we launched, he was like, yeah, we're not going to do anything crazy like unicorns. And then the shop there showed up an armor that added a horn to the horse and made it a unicorn, basically. This last question he asked him was, he says, what had been his most rewarding moment and most challenging in his 4 years of residency? And this breakdown here says, I think...
Oh, God, I hope he just leaves.
My most challenging moment is what the company has gone through in 4 years I've been here. It's well documented. I don't need to bring it back up. But that's just been hard to see. That was challenging. I guess it kind of feeds into what has been the most rewarding too with all that. And you add a pandemic on top of it and the fact that we are still able to come together as a team to launch Diablo 4 the way we did. Then he finishes off by basically saying he's...
Wait. Did he just say, oh, Diablo 4 wasn't shit because of my decisions? It was shit because it was really hard 4 years or something. Holy, this person does not even take accountability for his own actions. Wow, the lowest of low.
Diablo 4 the way we did. Then he finishes off by basically saying he's grateful to be part of the launch and it's been really exciting, etc. for him. He does say one thing, which is as we get ready for the expansion later in the year. So he is talking about them, planning obviously for the expansion of...
Oh, the expansion is going to be... I don't know what's going to happen with the expansion, honestly. They're obviously saving all the things that could actually be interesting for the expansion. God, I don't even know. Anyway, that was DMR Boy Skills. Thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.